roadblocks scheduled today on either Highway 70 or 54 South. For the latest roadblock information, call 575-678-1178. Tonight's forecast is calling for partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of rain in the mountains, 20% for the basin. In Alamogordo, expect an overnight low of 64, Cloudcroft a low of 51. Tomorrow, we're looking at mostly sunny skies with a slight chance of rain up in the mountains. In Alamogordo tomorrow, high of 91, low of 64. Cloudcroft tomorrow, high of 74, overnight low of 53.
This is the Roundup on ESPN Alamogordo 103.7. Going from the Tularosa Basin and beyond, this is your local connection to the world of sports. From high school to college and to the pros, we cover the latest news and the biggest stories. Don't forget, this is your show. Change the topic anytime. Call us at 437-1230. The Roundup starts right now.
You're listening to ESPN Alamogordo 103.7. Hello and welcome into the show. Everybody's having a very good Tuesday. 437-1230. If you'd like to call into the show for today, you can listen to us online as well. YouTube.com/ESPN Alamogordo. And we do have a show tomorrow. We don't have a show on Thursday. Haven't had a D-backs game end up preempting us in a little while, but we will have one coming up later this week, and then we'll be back. I think we'll be back on Friday. I'll give you a heads up on all of that. So certainly today and tomorrow, we've got plenty to get to today. We really didn't talk too much about college football or the NFL yesterday. We're mainly on our high school stuff, our local stuff. So we'll spend some time on that. And if you want to jump in there on your thoughts on your favorite team, by all means, send your thoughts on that. Overreaction. This is usually the first couple weeks, certainly the first week of the season, but week 2 probably as well. Massive overreaction usually. Sometimes it ends up being true. You know, sometimes teams that look great in week 1 and 2 play well the entire season. Sometimes, I trust me, I've seen it from being a fan of my team. That's not the case. Not only do they win, they beat good teams then the rest of the season. And the NFL is impressive for, length of time. You're talking 4 months. And it's amazing how much a team can change, or a team's fortunes can change between September and December. Other leagues, you have a pretty good idea of who the playoff teams are by the second month of the season. And sometimes in the NFL, it's a little harder to get a gauge on that. So week 1 especially, though. Jets are going to the Super Bowl, right? Jets Rams, man. Especially from last night. Both those teams looked very, very good. High school sports in the area tonight. We've got volleyball out in Tularosa. It's Alamogordo versus Tularosa. 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock start times there for the Lady Tigers and the Lady Cats. So best of luck to both sides there. Mescalero is at Nimi tonight. And we've got girls soccer here in town. Alamogordo at 7 o'clock will take on Mayfield. And 5 o'clock start time for the JV. Should be mentioned that Alamogordo JV boys will not be playing in Las Cruces tonight. I guess they've got some field issues over at the Field of Dreams. So just the varsity team playing tonight at 5 o'clock in Las Cruces for boys soccer. And that's all we got for the area tonight. Got plenty of other stuff coming up throughout the rest of the week, obviously. Back to football on Friday, more volleyball and soccer as we head throughout the week. Cross country is going to be in Roswell on Saturday, and Alamogordo cross country, that is. And not sure where Cloudcroft cross country is running at this weekend. Let me look at their schedule real quick. Don't want to forget about them. Let's see here. There we go. They're the same. They're going to the same event. They're going to the NIMI Invitational as well. So they'll be in Roswell with Alamogordo. And Yeah, not sure there's anything else. We'll obviously look at what's happening Friday and Saturday when we get a little bit closer to the end of the week and gotten through our Tuesday games. But I'm curious to see what happens tonight out in Thule. Alamo 5-2 to start the season. Thule has started off 5-0. And I think it's going to be an interesting match between the two sides. I don't think there's any doubt. I feel like probably the toughest team that Tularosa's faced so far. But maybe not. Volleyball's one of those that I feel like is similar to basketball in that, the jump down in classification, a 5A team playing a 3A team doesn't necessarily matter as much. I want to say, was it Tatum volleyball? One of those eastern New Mexico cities. They were good enough to beat the 5A and the 6A teams out there in the eastern part of the state for a while. I don't know if they're still that good. And I'm not sure if I have the right school. I don't know if it was Tatum. But one of those smaller communities like Jal or Texaco, or might have been Texaco volleyball. And they could beat anybody. Didn't matter. And you see it in basketball too. I mean, there's the 2A and 3A programs, and sometimes single A programs can beat 2-3 classifications up. And I think volleyball has that same possibility that based on the kids that you got and the coaching that you have. I don't think it's that big of a surprise to see something like that happen. Not necessarily saying that'll happen tonight. I'm just saying a little less unusual as comparison to maybe some other sports out there. So to sit here and say that, Alamogordo for sure is the best team that they've played this year, I don't know that for sure. Mainly because I haven't had a chance to see the rest of that schedule. Or I shouldn't say the rest of the schedule, but see those teams on the rest of the Lady Cat schedule this year. So, Magdalena, who was their tournament this last week and had to play them on the road, and maybe a few others in there. I think they played Hatch to begin the season. Usually Hatch volleyball is pretty good. So, let's see. Yeah, they beat Hatch Valley in straight sets. They're 2-4 to begin the season. Capitan they beat in straight sets. They're 2-2 this year. Cloudcroft they beat in 4. Alamo Navajo they beat in straight sets. They're 1-3 to start their season. Magdalena 4-2. They've gotten off to a pretty good start. And there's a good example. Magdalena's playing Hot Springs, which I think is actually 2 steps up from what they normally are. So you see that kind of scheduling usually this time of year, non-district. And I think this is it for non-district for Alamogordo. Yeah, this will be their 8th match. So they definitely like a win going into district, and I think it'll be intriguing. I think it'll be a really good environment out there too. I'm sure hopefully it'll be a lot of fun. That's what I'm hoping for more than anything else. Let's talk a little district actually on the boys and girls soccer side of things. I didn't think about that with district beginning. On the girls side, just from what I'm told, that Centennial should be the favorite in Alamo's district. And just a reminder, for soccer, for volleyball, for cross country, it's the Las Cruces district. So the 4 Las Cruces schools, Centennial, Oñate, Las Cruces High School, Mayfield, Deming, and Gadsden are the district for those sports. Football's a little bit different. They're out in the east part of the state, and they're also in a different overall classification. Alamogordo's now with pretty much all their sports, with the exception of football, and I don't know if there's any others that are actually lower. I think everything else would be in. So they're in there with the big schools in Albuquerque and the Rio Rancho schools and some of those others, again, like Alamogordo had been used to being in that spot for quite a while. Last couple years, obviously, have been a little bit different. But just worth keeping that in mind heading into district play. And heading into district play, Centennial is 7-0 and playing very well. Alamogordo lost them earlier this year. I think 6-0 was the score in the Las Cruces tournament. Mayfield's 3-3-1. Las Cruces is 3-3. Alamo's 4-4. Deming is 4-4. Deming Deming's won 4 matches? Really? Wow. They've been outscored 33-7, but they've won 4 of their matches. Obviously, they've been outscored heavily in their losses. Oñate, see, now that can't be right. Oñate is listed as only playing 3 matches so far. I'm sure that's not correct. Gadsden, maybe they've only played 6. But, yeah, I'm sure Oñate girls soccer has played more than just 3 matches so far this year. I know they played at least 3 at the Cruces tournament. Maybe they just didn't list those. Yeah, well, one of the games from that tournament is listed in there. So 2 others, and doesn't look like they have anything else listed. So yeah, they've certainly played more games than what's listed. And that's why Max Preps, I always say, got to be kind of careful with the information you get on there, because sometimes coaches don't put schedules correctly on there, and they also don't put scores in there as well. So just be aware. I'm guessing maybe they played another tournament at some point this year. So a little bit of an unknown for Oñate soccer. But it would certainly seem Centennial is the best of the group. I would think Gadsden and Deming probably towards the back end of it. The question for Alamo is how they can compete against Mayfield and Las Cruces and maybe Oñate. I'd like to say I know for sure. So I think Alamo's going to be in the running on the girls' side. I don't know for the district championship, just based on how well the Lady Hawks are playing and what we've seen in the one match that Alamogordo's played against them. And I think another big key for Alamo is how they perform against the 5A programs, which so far this season they haven't had a ton of success. Now, I thought second time around against Hobbs they played much better, and I thought the Carlsbad match they played had some good spots in there as well. But certainly against Centennial and against Hobbs the first time, it wasn't what they were looking for. So we'll see tonight. I mean, it would be huge for them to get off to a good start against Mayfield this evening and see if they can score victory in district and returning to this Las Cruces district. And, there's something, and these are completely different teams, obviously, at this point, but this is the part of the season where Alamo struggled in the years that they were in the Cruces district and the years that they were in the East district with Clovis, Carlsbad, and Hobbs, that they played pretty well in their non-district and did not play well in district. So hopefully it's a little bit different here for the Alamogordo girls. But the keys for them are going to be, I think, the matches against Mayfield, matches against Cruces, and Oñate, to where they finish in the pecking order here, so, and determine whether they make the postseason or not. These next 12 games are it. I mean, this is where Alamo's going to make their resume if they're going to be a postseason team this year or not. So we'll see what happens and how they do against Mayfield tonight. By the way, Mayfield 3-3-1 on the season with a season opening loss to Cleveland. They've also were defeated by Rio Rancho the next day. Cleveland 4-3 here early on in their season. Rio Rancho also 4-3 to begin their year. 10-0 win over Deming. 3-0 win over Oñate. They lost the championship game of the Las Cruces Public Schools tournament 3-1 to Centennial. They tied Carlsbad. The game went to double overtime. And listed as a forfeit win over Santa Teresa, 6-1. Maybe they stopped after a certain point. Not sure. But, they've won the games big. You would expect them to win. And, the win over Oñate certainly stands out. I think the way that they played Carlsbad and just in terms of comparison to tonight. So I think it's going to be a challenging match tonight for the Alamo girls. We'll see what they're able to do this evening against Mayfield, and back into the Las Cruces district we go. Certainly not unusual for out there Reiner Steinhoff Soccerplex and Alamogordo playing the Cruces schools over the years. And meanwhile, on the boys' side, I think an interesting district as well. I feel like Alamo's got to be in there as one of the favorites. 7-1? Did they give Alamo that forfeit win over Hobbs? Yeah, okay. So the Hobbs win apparently ends up being a forfeit win for Alamogordo, at least on Max Preps. I never heard anything official on that. I'll have to text Coach Lee Wilder on that. So didn't hear anything about that. I knew there was some discussion about that ending up being a forfeit win for Alamogordo because, again, the whole situation around that was strange. I don't know if there's been any more to that story that's come out, so I'm certainly going to leave it alone. But the talk that it was weather, that was the reason why that was canceled, is a little interesting, to say the least. So I guess Cruces and Deming have already played this year. That must have been in the Las Cruces Public Schools tournament, and for whatever reason they listed it off as a district game. Yeah, that was in the tournament. So really shouldn't be a part of the district standings. They've already played some of the other Cruces schools as well. So I don't know. As for overall records, Alamo clearly has the best of the group. 7-1 to start the season. Everybody else is kind of hovering around 500. Maybe with the exception of Gadsden, they're 4-2-1 to start the season. Centennial's 1-4-1. Deming 2-5-1. Cruces is 2-2-2. Oñate is 2-2-3. Man, what are all these ties that they've had in this district so far? And Mayfield 3-3-1 to begin the season. So, I think you have to look at Alamogordo as the favorite. I think Gadsden's going to be a tough match. Gadsden, I think, just in comparison to how good Chaparral and Santa Teresa have been in the other district. And there's an argument to be made here about whether this district, now there's more games, but I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think fewer games, everybody rips on, the 3-team districts or, the 4-team districts. There's less room for error when you're playing in that small of a district. You lose a game, and that could be it. Whereas you can recover in a 7-team district. You have a bad day, you can recover from that. And if you go on a run, you'll be fine. So, you've got 12 games to decide it. That obviously can be tougher. It gives it certainly gives you a better idea of certainly who is the best out of that. But everybody gets a home game. Everybody gets an away. Has to go on the road once. But I think you look at Alamo. I think they've got a great chance at winning the district. And who's out of the rest of that group? Is it Mayfield? Is it Gadsden? Tonight's match could be a really big key to kind of getting an idea on some of that. Las Cruces High boys apparently pretty good this year too. So yeah, curious to see what the district holds here on the boys' side. But I feel like from my standpoint, you got to look at Alamogordo as the favorite. But I'm sure the Cruces schools will believe differently, and probably Gadsden as well. So it'll be fun to watch. So district begins tonight for both the Alamogordo boys and girls. Girls at home at 7 o'clock for varsity, 5 p.m. for JV against Mayfield. Boys are playing at 5 p.m. for varsity tonight in Las Cruces. There's no JV match today. I think that information's probably gotten out to all the parents, because I know the kids remained in school today, the ones that weren't traveling with the varsity team. So they'll get started here in just a couple hours. And I think that's about all we got for you on the local stuff so far. So we'll go ahead and fit in a commercial break, and we'll talk some NFL. We'll talk a little college football from the weekend. Maybe tomorrow we'll get back to baseball a little bit, but tomorrow we'll have, of course, Coach A.J. Cisco talking Tiger football. Be curious to see his thoughts coming off of the game against Ruidoso. So we got good stuff coming up for you here on the Roundup. Let's take a break. You're listening to ESPN Alamogordo 103.7.
What makes Vision Ford Lincoln Hyundai unique? At Vision Ford, we're all about you, your vision, your style, your needs, and your story. Vision is fully stocked with dozens of the hottest 2018 models, including the Ford F-Series, America's #1 selling truck for 40 years. With financing options that fit every budget and a sales team dedicated to you, Vision Ford Lincoln Hyundai continues the Yes We Can tradition. All we need is you. Visit us today at 1500 South White Sands Boulevard or 24/7 online at visionfordlincoln.com.
What can Big O Tires do for you? They offer trained and certified ASC technicians, nationwide warranty protection, and state-of-the-art equipment. Services include oil, lube, and filter, batteries, brakes, and alignment. Big O strives to provide dependable and expert service at a great price, a wide range of diagnostic, maintenance, and repair services backed by one of the best national warranties. 621 North White Sands in Alamogordo, 1305 North Main Street in Roswell, and 26131 Highway 70 in Rodoso. Big O Tires.
The skills you can develop as a soldier in the Army National Guard can give you an edge in the high-tech job market of tomorrow. The Guard offers career training to take advantage of your skills in science, technology, engineering, and math that can help give you a leg up to a high-paying and rewarding STEM profession. Gain practical experience with emerging technology and equipment not found in the civilian world. The Army National Guard can get you started in an array of STEM-related career fields such as information technology, communication systems, special forces engineers, technical engineering, air traffic control, and chemical, biological, radiological, and nuclear science. Get a head start on your career in an exciting new field while earning money to pay for college, all while serving in your own community. Log on to NationalGuard.com or talk to a recruiter in your area to learn about all of the STEM career opportunities available to you in the Army National Guard. Sponsored by the New Mexico Army National Guard. Aired by the New Mexico Broadcasters Association and this station.
Thinking about smothering him? Sleepwell has a better, less violent answer. A power base upgrade. Alleviate not only snoring, but sleep apnea and asthma, ease insomnia, improve digestion, lighten back pain, hip pain, and leg swelling, and so much more. Save up to $800 on a power base, plus store-wide savings on mattresses and all your bedding needs. Financing available. Sleepwell open Monday through Saturday at the corner of 1st and White Sands, or 24/7 at thesleepwell.com. When you sleep well, you live well.
Tularosa Basin Telephone Company is famous for keeping you connected. They promise to deliver fast speeds, provide a reliable network, and do it all with a smile. Their customer service team is on top of every call with the answers you need. In fact, they believe their customers are the most important part of their business. Give Tularosa Basin Telephone Company a call at 585-2700 for the internet experience you've been waiting for.
Score big with great savings at Justin's Motor Company. Hustle on down to one of Justin's 2 locations. Cars, trucks, SUVs, Jeeps, you name it, Justin's has it. Makes and models to fit any budget and the best customer service in town. One-stop online shopping makes your next car buying experience a breeze. Check out the full inventory, meet the staff, even apply online. All at JustinsMotorCompany.com. 2 locations conveniently located on the Holloman Highway or 489-5820, Justin's Motor Company.
Fall into 0% with an OFCU Visa Platinum card. From September 1st through the 30th, get 0% APR on new and existing OFCU credit cards. Use your Visa Platinum card on purchase transactions and get 0% for 6 months. Wait, there's more. Transfer over your high interest rate credit cards to your OFCU Visa Platinum card and get 0% on balance transfers for 6 months. Hurry before it's over. Limited time offer, all in subject to credit approval. Other restrictions may apply. Federal insured by NCUA. OFCU, call 800-376-9000 or oterofcu.org. The KNMZ Football Roundtable is back for its 31st season. 5 local business people and their best football prognostications every Friday at 11 a.m. on ESPN Alamogordo. Manny Gonzalez from Charles Garland and Harris Agency. Donna Columbus of First National Bank. Brandon Burling from Desert Sun Auto Group. Timothy Brock of Christ Community Church. And Jake Roberts of Caldwell Banker Sudderth Nelson. The KNMZ Football Roundtable, Fridays at 11 a.m. on Southern New Mexico sports leader, ESPN Alamogordo 103.7.
I love the food at the fair. I want to go on a roller coaster.
My wife and I had our first date at the fair.
For 80 years, the New Mexico State Fair has warmed hearts, brought families and friends together, and created lifelong memories. This year, come and celebrate everything you love about the fair.
I really like the animals in the petting zoo. I like the pygmy goats. They're funny.
The 2018 New Mexico State Fair, September 6th through 16th.
The memories are always the best.
Love is in the fair.
ESPN Alamogordo 103.7. Welcome back into the Roundup. 437-1230 if you want to call into the show for today. Oh, how about NFL from the weekend? Last night, let's start there with Monday Night Football's games. Well, maybe we'll go to the phones first. There we go. And go ahead. You're on the roundup.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. How's everybody doing this beautiful Tuesday?
What's up, Jaime?
Hey, now that it's the first weekend and NFL is over and done with, what did you get out of it, or what is your take out of it? I know you have your favorite team, like everybody does. You know, what was your highlight of the week, or the something that stands out more than anything to you?
Oh goodness. I don't know if there's any one big thing that stands out more than the others. And I don't know if there was anything overly, surprising out of anything we had this weekend. I think the Bucs playing as well as they did against the Saints was surprising. I think Patrick Mahomes looking as good as he did for the Chiefs was maybe not surprising, but impressive. You didn't really know. I think at the end of the day, probably, the comeback for the Packers on Sunday night was out of all the games, probably had the most interesting thing that happened out of the weekend for me. But I don't know if that by any means is anything surprising. I felt like if he came back in the game and the Bears didn't put it away, that they were going to have a chance.
I agree with you. And the bad part, or what the crazy part is, I don't see why they didn't even try to blitz him at least a couple of times when you were ahead. When the Bears were ahead 20-0, and he came back. I would have put a little bit extra pressure on the first series that they scored. That's my thinking. My thinking was, look, hey, let's look a little scary, and then the Packers think we're going to go after him and see what they do. But the Bears never did really nothing. You got to give credit to the Green Bay offensive line. They did a heck of a job in the second half.
Yeah.
Real good job.
Yeah. Any thoughts for you from the weekend, Jaime?
What's that?
Any thoughts for you from the weekend?
That was my thought. Did you hear me?
What's that?
And that, and besides, the Cowboys need a lot of help everywhere. I thought the Cowboys' game plan was terrible to start the game off, being a Cowboys fan. But you know what? That's the way it goes. That's why it's football, and that's why you love it, because you don't know what to expect from your team. It's just, I'm glad it's back. College football's the same way. There's nothing really big that's really standing out so far in college football that I've seen. Besides Central Florida, I think they're probably should be in the top 5. They look really, really good.
They haven't really played anybody yet this year, so I would hesitate to say that.
Well, that's what they did last year too.
Yeah.
It's not their fault. They're in that conference, whatever it is.
This part of the season is the part of the season they can schedule. So, yeah, I mean, I sort of see what you're saying, but the fact that them being in the top 5, I disagree wholeheartedly on that. I think, Alabama's played somebody good early this season, so has Oklahoma and a couple others. So, yeah.
So what's the big game in NCAA this week in football? Is it TCU?
I think it's one of them. Yeah, TCU Ohio State's this weekend. You've got Auburn LSU is this weekend. And I think the other big ranked matchup is Boise and Oklahoma State. So those are the ones I seem to remember standing out more than any of the others, but there might be a couple more as well.
I went to see my college team the first week, and the bad part about it is everybody says they look bad and they look everything. I don't think nobody gave Northern Arizona credit. I thought they're a real good team. Their execution, they don't lack in size or in talent, man. Those guys are really, really good. UTEP, they had a bad year last year. They're having a bad year this year, and it's a coaching change and everything. You got to give them at least maybe the half of the year to see what happens, because their easier part of the schedule is coming up in conference, believe me, from what I've seen. And, that's my thing. In my old high school, I went to see them the last 2 weekends, and their winning streak, their losing streak is now 0-29. So I have a bad week this week. My high school homecoming, UTEP got blown out by UNLV, and the Cowboys just look terrible. The pros shouldn't look like that.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of that though recently. That some of the pro games just aren't very good. The And I mean, it's not like Carolina was that special in that game either. So
that's exactly what I meant. It's not that Carolina went and beat the Cowboys. The Cowboys didn't do anything to win the game.
Well, the Cowboys made some changes in the offseason, and it hasn't, so far it doesn't look like. I mean, it's just one game though, so you can't really say one way or the other.
Yeah, one game, and there's for the Cowboys, and I know there's a lot of Des Bryant fans out there. I was not one of them, but they do need one good, deep, constant receiver that it'll pick them up or can find a way. Because they lost Bryant and Jason Witten. You don't realize how much Jason Witten's missing, especially on the third down plays.
Yeah. Witten was, a stalwart there. Whatever quarterback they had in that spot. I mean, he was the guy. So, not having Witten there makes a difference. And not, Dez was certainly declining, and I think Jason was too. I think both guys were not the players that they once were. So, got to move on at some point. And the question is, I think I heard a lot of people complaining about game plan as well. That maybe, Jason Garrett has kind of let the game pass him by. He's not as innovative as some of the new offensive coaches out there. So.
I got that comment a lot from friends and relatives that says, you know what, this really showed that we do need a coaching change. But you still got to execute. You still got to do what you have to do as a player.
Yeah.
You're getting all that big money and whatever. Hey, where's Alamogordo playing this weekend?
Santa Teresa.
At Santa Teresa. Oh, I might go to that since my daughter lives there.
Yeah. Desert Warriors gotten off to a good start. They're 3-0 this year.
Hey,
so.
Desert Warriors look good, man. They look tough.
Yeah,
they really took it to Gaston this past weekend.
Yeah, they were solid last year too. So I think it's going to be a tough game for the Tigers. So
you might see me up there since my daughter is right down the street.
There you go. You could walk down there.
Have a good one, man. Yeah, no, I won't. No, I won't. All right, catch you later. Have a good one.
See you, Jaime. Yeah, Jaime made the good, asked the question about, what stood out from the week. And I think in terms of the actual games, I think the Packers come back win. But that wasn't necessarily a surprise. The Rams winning last night. The way the Rams won last night was a little surprising. The way that they shut out Oakland in the second half. That, Derek Carr did not play well. So that's a little disconcerting, I think, if you're a Raiders fan. But again, it's one game. The Jets looked like a world beater last night, but again, it's one game. I mean, they had a 17-7 lead. The Lions come back and tie it up. And as somebody pointed out, they managed a touchdown in every aspect of the game, so offensively, defensively, and special teams to pull away. They scored 31 points in the third quarter of that game. I mean, it just so I don't know, maybe Todd Bowles has got that team ready to go. They've got their quarterback. I thought Darnold played well last night. Didn't have to ask him to do a whole lot. They did things in other aspects of the game, but again, I would hesitate. Everybody wants to talk about so quickly to anoint somebody. Oh, Darnold's the man now. But we've seen other rookie quarterbacks come out in week 1 and 2 and play well, and then the rest of the season's a little bit of a struggle. So I think if the Jets, don't push it and don't expect too much from him, and maybe recognize that they've got enough pieces on that team to be good enough the rest of the year, then there you go. But Darnold's, most people believe that Darnold was the guy that was the most ready coming out of college, and he was the one guy that started a game in this weekend between him and Rosen and Allen and Mayfield. So, and he won. I mean, at the end of the day, his team won, and he played pretty well. I mean, it wasn't as if he was out there managing the game, not really doing a whole lot. I mean, he was a part of that team playing as well as they did last night. So certainly can't rip on that. 16 of 21, 198 yards, 2 touchdowns. Not bad. It's not too much to complain about, I think, from that side of things. How about Isaiah Crowell having a huge game for the Jets last night? So, what else? Redskins looked really solid against the Cardinals, but you can tell the Cardinals definitely have some work to do. I don't understand why they just don't go to Josh Rosen personally. I think we've seen enough of Sam Bradford now in the NFL that he doesn't need to be a starter anywhere. I think he's a backup wherever he goes from now on in his career. And I understand that this is, you got a rookie there. Maybe they're not quite ready, but the Redskins defense last year I know they made some changes in the offseason, but Bradford looked bad. And it just, the rip was initially that he just couldn't stay healthy. If he stayed healthy, he'd be good. And I think we found out that that's not the case with Sam Bradford anymore, unfortunately. The Broncos made the right choice by going out there and getting Case Keenum. He wasn't great, and he made a lot of mistakes. What did he have, 3 interceptions in the game? But he was able to overcome that. Had 3 touchdown passes, threw for 329 yards. Now, certainly you don't want to go out there and throw 3 picks every game, but they found a way against Seahawks. And I tell you what, that Seahawks defense, they rushed for, I think, almost 150 yards as a team, the Broncos did, and they threw for, 300 and something. I mean, they were able to move the ball up and down the field against the Seahawks D. And, Broncos D, Von Miller looked excellent in that game. So if Keenum can limit the turnovers, if you're a Broncos fan, I feel like you should be pretty excited from what you saw in that game this weekend. I would be if I was a Broncos fan. We were talking about the Panthers and the Cowboys game. I don't think anybody should feel excited about anything what they saw in that Panthers-Cowboys game. If you're a Panthers fan, Greg Olsen being out for a significant amount of time is certainly a bummer. And it's not as if the Panthers looked wonderful in that win. But they won. Sometimes you got to have those victories. And, the Cowboys, to me, offensively, it's going to depend on how well they can run the ball with Zeke. I don't think that team can put, their wins and losses on the shoulders of Dak and expect it to go well. It's either got to be balanced or more edged towards being able to run the football. And we'll see. I thought the defense did some pretty good things in that game. So, there's definitely some things to be encouraged about from the Cowboys, but I touched on Patrick Mahomes and how well he played for the Chiefs. I'd question whether that was going to be the right move for the Chiefs. And you can definitely see there's still some greenness to him, but the tools are there. He's got an incredible arm, and if he continues to mature and form into a big-time quarterback, look out. And he's got the weapons, too. I mean, he's got an excellent tight end. He's got 2 or 3 really good wide receivers. They've got a good running back core there in Kansas City. There's really nothing that can stop him. You got a great offensive coach in Andy Reid. So I don't know if that's going to change things for the Chiefs when the postseason comes around, if they are there. So, Ryan Fitzpatrick, the guy, he's always had this in him. And somebody had a cool graphic of Ryan Fitzpatrick's career and the different places he's been. So like Buffalo and the Jets, and now here in Tampa where he's having to fill in for Jameis Winston, of playing really well, getting a big contract, not playing well, getting cut, getting signed, and then wash, rinse, repeat. And we say it's one game. But he's always capable of those kind of huge games. The consistency has always been the problem with Ryan Fitzpatrick. He just does not have the guy that you feel like you can trust to lead your team to the postseason kind of feel to him. But I mean, he's gonna if he plays the entire season, he's gonna hit 200 career touchdown passes. Which I don't think anybody thought that about Ryan Fitzpatrick, and he's an old man at this point. This guy's a 7th-round draft pick. I mean, he's had a really nice NFL career. Just one of those journeyman quarterbacks that always finds himself in a spot where he can play. And he was one of those guys that people were ripping on, talking about he shouldn't be in the league and blah 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 blah. And clearly he should be. Now, if I'm a team, I ain't giving him a lot of money. I think he's proven that 2 places in a row that. You just don't know what you're getting. He's very turnover prone. So we'll see what the Bucs do next week with him. But he shredded that Saints defense. Saints still almost came back and won that game incredibly, though. So, Ryan Tannehill looked really good for the Dolphins. First game in, it's kind of the similar. He had the similar time off that, well, maybe not the same as Andrew Luck. Luck had almost 2 years off. He had a year and almost 2 years. He got hurt before last season, and I don't remember what the time frame was for him. But Tannehill had a pretty good game down there for the Dolphins. Mariota got hurt during that game, so I haven't heard anything more about Mariota. Blaine Gabbert they had to go to. Ugh. Not a fan of those new Titans jerseys, by the way. I think they're better than the old ones. Still not very good. Jags over the Giants. My criticism of the Jags and people picking them to win the Super Bowl will still be that their quarterback is Blake Bortles. And that as they go, I mean, he's the one, if he really plays well this season, they could be the best team in the NFL. If he plays really average, they're going to be fighting to be a playoff team. Let's go to the phones. You're on the roundup.
Hey, I'm sorry I got to call back.
Okay.
That Miami game, I just heard that it was considered the longest game in the NFL because of the delays.
Yeah.
What time did it end up? Who won it? I don't remember who won it. What was the final, and what time did it end? How long did it last?
The Dolphins won 27-20. I'm not sure when it actually finished. I know that they probably finished right towards when the late games were finishing, so like around 6 o'clock Mountain Time.
I heard something about over 7 hours.
Yeah, I mean, because the game started at 11, and I don't think they finished until probably after 6. So
after 6. Well, that's all I remember about them is that they were in the rain delay, and that's all I could tell you. A weather delay.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was the lightning that was the big issue. So.
Yeah, of course. That's always the biggest issue. All right. Thank you for the info. Have a good day.
All right. Yeah, I don't know the exact. I'll have to look during the break and when they finished up that game. I'm not totally sure on that. But Jags over the Giants. Giants should be encouraged by what they saw with Saquon Barkley. I thought he played well. Oh, Beckham looked great. Eli was okay. And the Jags defense is excellent. I mean, I think if you're a Giants fan, the fact that they can move the ball in that Jags defense is a positive. So I don't know what to say out of the Steelers-Browns game. The Browns should have won. Bottom line, the Browns should have won. The Steelers turned the ball over, was it 5 or 6 times? I know it was 5 at one point for sure. It might have been 6 by the end of it. And I think they put out a point that they're in the history of the NFL, or at least the recent history, there had been something like 140 games that a team had turned the ball over 5 times. And in only 6 of them had the team who had turned it over or been on the other side of it not won the game. And I think 3 of them were the Browns. I mean, that should have been a blowout to Cleveland, and credit Cleveland for not making that happen. The Steelers were terrible in that game and should have never – it should never even been a tie. I'll tell you one thing. Really nobody deserved to win that game, and it was very apropos of the way that it finished. Andrew Luck looked really good against the Colts, or against the Bengals, I should say. He looked solid. Would really like to see him not try to take big hits. There was one where he got creamed on a scramble, and it's like, dude, you're killing me. But on the other side of it, Cincinnati, again, you see the pieces that Cincinnati has. Joe Mixon at running back and A.J. Green at wide receiver, and Dalton looked good. And, Dalton is like a step up from like a Ryan Fitzpatrick in some ways. He's got enough consistency that he can stay the starting quarterback of a team, but you just don't necessarily feel the confidence in any game for him. Patriots held off the Texans 27-20. That's a game that really should have been a bigger blowout for New England. Deshaun Watson did not play well. I think Brady played especially well. And Patriots have always been a little wishy-washy in openers, so good win for the Vikings over the Niners. That was kind of an ugly game on both sides, but Kirk Cousins played well. Jimmy G didn't have a great game, but he also, against a really good defense. Cousins 20 of 36, 2 touchdowns, 244 yards. Garoppolo threw 3 interceptions. He wasn't very good, but they had a chance to win there late in Minnesota. I think a lot of people are looking at the Vikings having a chance to go into the Super Bowl this year. Not sure the 49ers, but I think if you're a Niners fan, that game has to be encouraging for you. For as bad as that team has been the last couple of seasons, they were competing against a side that was in the NFC Championship game last year and could have won the game, or at least could have had a chance to tie it there late. So very much a different story for the 49ers going into this season. And goodness knows we don't need to talk about the Ravens and the Bills game. That was just... And there's talk that Nathan Peterman's going to start again this week. But, it doesn't really matter for the Bills. And I honestly don't know if it's a right thing to send Josh Allen out there. But I feel like for Buffalo, there were free agent quarterbacks to be had this offseason, and they didn't get them. Or guys that they could have traded for. And they decided, you know what, even if Josh Allen isn't ready, we'll be okay with Nathan Peterman or A.J. McCarron. Come on. I just... And I don't know if they could have, a guy like Case Keenum, I don't know if they could have gotten him. Genuinely don't know. Denver might have been his choice, and that was going to be it for him. Fine. I don't know if they had what the deal to go get, a Teddy Bridgewater. Or, gosh, who else was, some of the choices that could have been had out there. But maybe this was intentional. Maybe it's like, you know what? We need to have a really, really bad season so we can go out there and get better players. I have no idea. I'm just a fan. What do I know? All right, we'll take a break. We'll come back. We'll run through the schedule again today for high school sports. We'll get some time on college football coming up here in a little bit. If you want to call in, again, 437-1230. More of the roundup for you after this.
There are no roadblocks scheduled today on either Highway 70 or 54 South. For the latest roadblock information, call 575-678-1178. Tonight's forecast is calling for partly cloudy skies with a 30% chance of rain in the mountains, 20% for the basin. In Alamogordo, expect an overnight low of 64, Cloudcroft a low of 51. Tomorrow we're looking at mostly sunny skies with a slight chance of rain up in the mountains. In Alamogordo tomorrow, high of 91, low of 64. Cloudcroft tomorrow, high of 74, overnight low of 53.
Looking for a good pre-owned vehicle? You know the one everyone wants? Late model, low mileage, good condition? Then you need to look at Richardson Motors. Robbie and his staff will get you in a vehicle you want, whether it's a car, truck, SUV, or van. At Richardson Motors, it's about taking care of the customer right the first time. So for the best service, the best vehicles, it's got to be the best dealership. Richardson Motors. Richardson Motors, 318 South White Sands, next to McDonald's.
What I remember most is the loneliness I felt, the separation from other people. At the end, drinking was no fun for me. Since I've started to attend AA meetings, the greatest gift is that I've become reconnected. I'm part of life again. I really like myself, and that's wonderful. AA is a miracle in my life. Alcoholics Anonymous. It works.
For the local AA hotline, call 430-9502. That's 430-9502.
Now you have a choice when it comes to keeping massive files of your bank statements every month. With an online e-statement, you'll have an accurate, easy-to-read electronic statement you can access anywhere, anytime. Get more control over your cash flow. And no more giant filing cabinets. Our e-statements get an A+. First National Bank, member FDIC. When you grow, we grow.
Every student wants their high school sports apparel, and there's only one place to get it, the Winner's Circle. They carry all the local school letter jackets, whether you're a Tiger, Wildcat, or Bear. While you're there, get your jacket personalized with embroidery, stitching, and have your letters and patches sewn on too. They also carry trophies, plaques, and awards, and service with a smile. It's all at the Winner's Circle, 1201 10th Street in Alamogordo.
by White Sands Motorsports right here in Alamogordo for all your power sport needs. White Sands Motorsports carries Honda, Yamaha, and Roxor. New to the store, Can-Am and Textron side-by-side vehicles. As always, they handle parts and services for all makes and models. For the best power sport deals on 2 or 4 wheels, White Sands Motorsports has got you covered. Open Tuesday through Friday, 9:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. and Saturdays, 9:30 to 5. 21070 Highway 70 or visit motorsportsofnewmexico.com.
This is Brandon with Desert Sun. I'm not sure if you all know this, but Desert Sun Auto Group consists of 5 dealerships across the great state of New Mexico. This means we have 5 new car departments with over 500 vehicles to choose from and over 200 quality pre-owned vehicles. Majority of these vehicles, when bought from us, are backed with Desert Sun's lifetime powertrain protection. Stop by either Desert Sun Motors or Desert Sun Toyota today and let us help you find your new ride. See our full inventory at DesertSunMotors.com.
I'm Ed Horrell, author of The Kindness Revolution. I read a lot of blogs. I like to learn from the thoughts and experiences of other people. One of my favorite blogs is in regard to the choices we make every day. Choices regarding parenting, health, spirituality, relationships, name it. However, one of the choices that's an option is the choice not to choose. As strange as that may sound, sometimes our best option is to simply do nothing, especially when not acting or choosing to act is indeed an option. I've always been a ready, fire, aim kind of guy. I like to make a quick decision and move on. However, as I've aged, I've learned that a little aiming before firing actually leads to better results. So take a minute to aim before you fire. It'll make your world a little kinder. To learn more, check us out at thekindnessrevolution.net.
Tiger football is back on the road, battling the Santa Teresa Desert Warriors. Friday, pregame at 6:45, kickoff at 7 p.m. Only on your Tiger Sports Station, ESPN Alamogordo 103.7. It's Rivalry Week, Part 1. The Aggies return home to host the Lobos in the Rio Grande Rivalry. Saturday, kickoff at 6 p.m. Pregame at 5 on your Aggies destination in the Basin, ESPN Alamogordo 103.7. ESPN Alamogordo 103.7. Welcome back into the show. 437-1230 if you'd like to call in. Tonight's Alamogordo girls soccer at home, 7 o'clock. Kickoff for varsity as they take on Mayfield, district opener for both sides tonight. Boys are in Las Cruces tonight as they take on Mayfield. 5 o'clock start time over at the Field of Dreams. There's no JV for that game. You do have JV at 5 o'clock over at Reiner Steinhoff Soccerplex. Tonight in Tularosa, and something else I didn't realize, it's the home opener for the Tularosa Lady Cats tonight. They've been on the road the entire season this year. A couple of games up at the Magdalena tournament. They've played Hatch and Capitan and Cloudcroft. So, finally get to play in their gym for the first time this year to the Tularosa Lady Cats. That's a 6 o'clock start time for varsity, 5 for JV. No C team out there tonight for Tularosa. And, of course, they're taking on the Lady Tigers. And then Mescalero is at Nimi tonight. So that's your schedule for high school sports across the area. We gave you, if you missed earlier on in the show, gave you a little bit of a preview of district for boys and girls soccer for Alamogordo and how that's shaping up, and we'll do the same for volleyball coming up next week, and, of course, football when we get around to that here in a few weeks. So, college football from the weekends. I don't know if we had any, groundbreaking games for our area teams. New Mexico State looked awful against Utah State. We'll see what they do against New Mexico. They're such a better team. Losing to Utah State 60-13 in my mind is just not really acceptable. Now, if that had happened against Minnesota, okay, I understand that. Even Wyoming, I wouldn't have understood that. I feel like the expectation needs to be higher that you don't get blown out like that to a Mountain West team. And I know injuries have been an issue for New Mexico State, but not good. New Mexico played with Wisconsin for a little while there. Badgers pulled away as you would expect them to, but certainly had some positive moments. And I think UNM fell down to their third-string quarterback at some point in that game, so you can definitely feel like that had an impact on them as well. And Jaime mentioned UTEP getting blown out by UNLV. So otherwise, I don't know. I mean, it's certainly in the ranked games there wasn't anything that stood out. Oklahoma looked really good. Congrats to Kansas, by the way. Went up to Central Michigan, won 31-7 after losing to Nicholls State opening weekend. The more staggering point is Kansas snapped a 46-game road losing streak. So, kudos to them on that. Still trying to figure out how Rutgers is a Big Ten program. 52-3 to Ohio State. Notre Dame didn't really run away from Ball State, slightly surprising. Georgia crushed South Carolina on the road. I figured that would be a little bit closer. Odds makers certainly thought that would be closer. Colorado-Nebraska was a really good game. Colorado looks pretty darn solid to open up the season. Yeah, I told you last week we really didn't have a whole lot of good matchups, unfortunately. Clemson, Texas A&M was really good, though. That was a fun game to watch on Saturday night, and you know that Jimbo Fisher is going to have Texas A&M competitive this year, and that was going to be a tough game for Clemson on the road there at Kyle Field, so that'll be fun to watch. His former team, by the way, Jimbo's former team, Florida State, struggled with Samford all night long. They eventually pulled away for a 10-point win, but the Willie Taggart era has not gotten off to the cleanest of starts to begin the year. So, how about Kentucky snapping their 31-game losing streak to Florida? 27-16 the final score. And they did it in the Swamp. Not exactly a great way to start off the era if you're Dan Mullen. What about Colorado State beating Arkansas? I expected that one. What else we got here? Penn State crushing Pitt. Stanford's defense looked excellent against USC. Herm there in Tempe, Arizona State getting a 16-13 win over Michigan State. So good stuff there. Top 25 in the AP poll, no big changes. Bama 1, Clemson 2, Georgia 3, Ohio State 4, Oklahoma leaped Wisconsin, so they're 5 now. Badgers are 6. Auburn, Notre Dame 7 and 8. Stanford's up to 9. Washington drops to 10. Penn State up to 11. LSU drops to 12. Virginia Tech to 13. Then West Virginia, TCU, Mississippi State, Boise moved up 3 spots. Central Florida, who's at number 18. Yeah, I have a hard time agreeing with Jaime on his thoughts on Central Florida. They played South Carolina State last week and then beat Connecticut their opening week, and they were supposed to play North Carolina this week. But yeah, here's the deal for UCF. I mean, their best win was their bowl game, and they may again be a very, very good team again this year, but I don't know. We'll see. I'm just not. I think there's a lot better teams. I think they're probably about right where they should be in the rankings. Michigan 19, Oregon 20, Miami 21, USC fell to 22. Michigan State didn't fall out of the top 25. They're 25. Arizona State's 23, and OK State is 24. So we'll see what the next week brings. For our area teams, it's New Mexico State this weekend. UTEP's at Tennessee this week, so the pain doesn't stop for the Miners, unfortunately. It's been a struggling part to the season, and I think Miners fans have got to be really patient. Don't expect anything out of this season. So, me being a New Mexico State fan, I'm not really sure what to expect going into this weekend. It sounds like UNM's got some injuries, but so does New Mexico State. I think both teams are not very good. I would be real surprised. I mean, here's the deal with New Mexico State. If they can win both their rivalry games and they can beat, I think they have Liberty twice on the schedule and then Alcorn State. They just got to win one more game to be bowl eligible again this year. So there's probably one in there at some point. this was the tougher part of their schedule, but nothing is too encouraging for them on that standpoint. I didn't see what the line is. Is New Mexico the favorite going into Saturday? Yeah, 5-point favorites. All right, y'all. Does it for today. Talk to you tomorrow. Hey, this is Charles. You're listening to ESPN Alamogordo 103.7. Southern New Mexico's sports leader, KNMZ Alamogordo.
For the season because of a knee injury. Running back Le'Veon Bell off the Steelers' depth chart for Sunday's game. He was included on the team's preseason and Week 1 depth charts with an asterisk. No end in sight for Bell's holdout. The situation will get worse before it gets better, believes 10-time Pro Bowler Joe Thomas.
Le'Veon Bell does not look like he's going to show up anytime soon, but he will have to show up at some point this year because he needs to get that credited season in order to be a free agent next year. So I fully expect the way that this is going to go is right about, 6 games left in the season. Le'Veon Bell's going to show up, and he's going to be given half effort.
Joe Thomas on Golic and Wingo. Baseball A's lefty Sean Manaea will have season-ending shoulder surgery next week. A's in the thick of the AL West and wild card races. Stanford running back Bryce Love won't play Saturday against UC Davis. He left the win over USC with an apparent injury that went undisclosed.
Think O'Reilly Auto Parts for all of your car care needs. We're close, convenient, and known for our guaranteed everyday low prices and excellent customer service from professional parts people you can trust. Stop by your local O'Reilly Auto Parts today. O'Reilly Auto Parts. Better parts, better prices every day.
This is the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio.
And on the ESPN app.
Sam Darnold is the real deal. And New York Giants fans are going to spend the next decade with buyer's remorse because they passed on a franchise quarterback for a running back. You'd rather have 10 years of Sam Darnold than 10 years of Saquon Barkley, no matter how great they both end up being. It's the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app, SiriusXM Channel 80, and on ESPN News. You can join the conversation, 888-SAY-ESPN. It's 888-729-3776. Sam Darnold came out last night and immediately threw a pick 6 to the Detroit Lions. He immediately threw across the field an ugly play that was intercepted by Quandre Diggs and returned straight to the end zone. And Sam, well, like those that came before him, like Brett Favre, had to pick himself up.
After that moment, it was, okay, now how do I respond? And I think on the sideline, someone told me, hey, Brett Favre's first throw was a pick. So I was just trying to bounce back as good as I could. And I knew that I didn't have to do anything, outside of the ordinary. I just had to continue to be myself, get to my checkdowns, take the shots when they're there, and the game will come to me, and that's kind of what happened.
And the game did come to Darnold. He had a quarterback rating of 117. He averaged over 9 yards an attempt to completion. And I think you're going to spend the next 10 years debating whether or not Baker Mayfield or Sam Darnold was the best quarterback to come out of this draft class. And it's not because they're both equally average. It's because they're both equally great franchise quarterbacks. Sam Darnold is the real deal. Now, am I being a prisoner of the moment? Am I working off a one-game sample size? Am I absolutely jumping the gun? There are others out there who are saying, whoa, 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 whoa. Remember New York Jets fans? You remember what they thought about Mark Sanchez in 2009? In fact, I believe that was you, Nuno, who said that to me earlier. Are you sure he's not Mark Sanchez?
Well, we brought it up, and that I remember when Sanchez played, well, didn't even play well. That team was really good because defensively and everything else, and it was, is Sanchez better than Eli? And Dari Noka, on one of the promos we run, actually made a good point. It's not about Darnold and Barkley. It's comparing Darnold to Eli. If Eli is still good for them for the next 2 years, that's what you're comparing it against. You're comparing it Darnold against Eli, not Barkley.
I totally and utterly 100% disagree. I think that's a New York Giants fan searching the world of takes to find one to make you feel better about yourself. If you think this is a comparison between Sam Darnold and Eli Manning, you simply are bad at analogies. That's not true. The truth of the matter is, you had a choice. You went to the store. You looked at the aisles. You went up and down the shelves, and you said, I can have a Saquon Barkley or I can have a Sam Darnold. And you chose a Saquon Barkley. You chose a running back over a quarterback. If you chose because you thought, I have 2 years of Eli Manning, I'm willing to sacrifice 10 years of franchise quarterback because I've got 2 years of Eli Manning, you are not unique. You're just short-sighted. Most people are short-sighted. Most people want immediate returns. Most people want immediate gratification. Saquon Barkley was your immediate gratification. You hoped for the best of both worlds. I can continue with average quarterback play and great running back play and hope